The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily represent those of this station or its management.
It's time now for Where You Live with Gene Sullivan, the show that deals with the news and events that affect you the most. Whether you rent or own, live in an HOA, single-family home, or an apartment building, Gene will tackle the issues right where you live. So from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios, here is the original man of steel, Resolve himself, who stands for truth, justice, and the association way. Here's Gene Sullivan.
Good morning. Welcome to this weekend Where You Live. I'm Gene Sullivan. Glad to have you with us, and I'm honored. Usually we have Christopher Wider Puberty handling the board, but this weekend I have the operations manager for our station, Lee Michaels.
Wow,
Lee, I'm honored.
Well, I'm honored too.
Oh, thanks for pitching in here today. So. Well, folks, it's great to have you with us. Over the next hour, we're going to be dealing with some very interesting topics. I want to begin with a story before we go any further, not because it has anything to do with homeowner associations or rental property or anything at all, other than it just caught my funny bone. It happened earlier this week. I don't know if you saw it. It was on MSNBC, and apparently in New York, I guess at Times Square in New York, there was an altercation. There was one gentleman, and he is identified as, "I need money for weed guy." And apparently his mellow was harshed because someone who had encroached his territory for panhandling, a gentleman who was known as "I need money for beer" guy, came too close, and it says that "I need money for weed guy" tried to stab "I need money for beer" guy with a pen in the head. And now apparently everything is fine. "I need money for beer" guy is all right. But it was witnessed by two people. One man I kid you not, in a predator suit, and another one in an alien suit. So what we're saying is that the only two credible witnesses found were predator and alien for "I want money for beer guy" and "I want money for weed guy." And, all I can say in trying to tie this into our show is that, nationally, if we are coming upon and encroaching, I think, almost the 25% mark, with 25% of all homes in the United States being in a homeowners association, then, folks, that means statistically we're looking at one of these four characters being the neighbor in someone's HOA. That's all I got to say about that. Well, let's go ahead and elevate the show and the topic, shall we? We're broadcasting from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios. Want you to remember, Natural Green is a locally owned and operated lawn and landscape care company. Their mission is to use the most environmentally sensitive products available to keep your lawn and landscape looking lush and beautiful while still healthy for both people and pets. Call them today, see what they can do for you at 763-213-2410. We're also brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. Well, without further ado, let's begin with our first story, shall we? In property management in the news. Property management in the news is brought to you by Home Furniture and Abbey Floor Coverings. Their showrooms are staffed with professionals who will help you choose what you need to fit both your lifestyle and budget. Whatever you need, chances are they'll have what you're looking for. Now, if you wish to avail yourself of special pricing and discounts you won't find anywhere else, all Where You Live listeners can call Customer Service Coordinator Lori Matson. Her number 952-224-2663 and ask for your Where You Live special pricing. Well, let's begin, shall we, with our first story. And this is interesting. This is coming out of the state of Maryland. Now, if you live in a homeowners association, or if you've considered purchasing a home, you know that there is something very specific that is given to you prior to the closing, and that is called a resale disclosure. And that's a packet of a lot of information. And quite frankly, a lot of homeowners will admit we don't read it before we purchase and move into the association. Now, of course, the seller owning the unit has knowledge and information about specifics of in the home, what's taken place, the condition. And so most realtors, all realtors, as a matter of fact, who list a property will require that the seller fill out another disclosure as well. But it's interesting, the Court of Maryland is asking the question, how much are you required to really disclose to someone who's a buyer? Now, I'm always amazed at this question that's asked, because generally you're dealing with two things. When you're dealing with disclosures, you're dealing with something that would be called what is lawful and what is ethical. And I will submit to you that they will not necessarily meet together. There are times when people will follow the letter of the law. They will do everything that is lawful. But you've got to ask the question, is it ethical? Is it really following the golden rule? Is that how you would want to be treated as well? That's you can say, well, I was following the law. I'm being lawful. But being lawful does not necessarily mean being ethical. And I guess we need to have these kinds of things figured out, because we have people who are unethical and would like to take advantage of others. But it's interesting what took place here. And what took place that makes this most interesting is this judge who wrote the court opinion on what needs to be stated in a resale disclosure requirement for homes in an HOA. He made an observation in what was called indicta. Now, indicta just simply means this is the judge editorializing. So this is not binding law. So at the end, when he had passed judgment on how things were going to be, he editorialized. A lot of judges do, and it's this editorial comment, this small little dicta that came in that ended up really causing everybody in Maryland to really wonder and ask the question, what is required and what isn't? And it has a lot of people scratching their head at the state legislature in Maryland. Okay? And it said here that, and I think people know, again, the disclosure requirements are intended to provide, what's the purpose of that? Even though people don't read them, the purpose, of course, is to provide a perspective for a would-be purchaser to have sufficient enough information about the potential expenses, what they're getting into when they're making the purchase of that home, so that they can make a well-formed decision. And what was happening here is what the judge said in dicta in his observation. He suggested that the homeowner association having knowledge of a building or health code violation, but it wasn't formally written up yet. It wasn't given to the association as being a formal charge that they have to take care of, but they know that it's coming. The fact that it wasn't written yet, he said, meant that there was no obligation to provide that information to someone else, that the only information that you need to give is the information that is written by the city, an actual violation written, and then hand it to you. What do you think of that, folks? Is that following the letter of the law? Is it something that you would want to happen? I guess, when you're looking at this situation, you've got two perspectives, don't you? I could see where the seller would say, yeah, I would prefer not to mention that because I would just rather that go away and the person purchase the home. But let me ask you this. Any one of you purchasing the home, would you want to know the answer to that question, that something is a potential violation that is out there? I think the answer is pretty simple, don't you? And you know what? We're going to address that a little bit more, but we're going to take a break right now. So don't go away. We've got a lot of Where You Live with Gene Sullivan after these messages.